Hey, Yinz guys and gals, gather around for a journey like no other. It's time to hop on board the Yinz Goin podcast. From the rivers that meet at the point to form downtown Pittsburgh, to the sheer face of Half Dome, to the furthest corners of the globe, Matt will be your compass, your confidant, your companion as we explore the wonders of travel. So sit back, relax on your couch, and let the wanderlust whoosh over Yinz as we discover new horizons and reminisce about old favorites. With Matt by our side, the sky's the limit. Join Matt on the Yinz Goin podcast because when it comes to travel, the journey's just getting started. And now, without further ado, let's give a shot for your guide through the highways and byways of travel. Your planning partner, the man with the map, Matt Schraeder. Hi, Yinz doing? Welcome to the Yinz Goin podcast. I'm Matt. I'm your host. Joining me again today is my dad, Garry. The fishing trip du jour is to Utah and Idaho. He went in May and June of 2025,
Good morning.
or afternoon, whenever people are listening to this. So it was late May that you left on the 31st, and you had an early flight.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. We went uh, through Detroit and had a bit of a layover, but had some lunch there. No travel issues. Detroit's not a bad airport to hang out in. And
Done that before. They got that little train to take you to different places.
yeah, the whole length of the one terminal there. We had our Delta app, so we were following our luggage. For this trip, we packed our fishing gear, so it's always fun to see where your fishing gear might be. We
Yeah,
had carry-on, and we put a lot of our metal lures in the carry-on, and we're wondering if it would make it through TSA. So we checked in with one of our friends that was a TSA agent, retired, and he said that lures should go through. The only thing you need to make sure that you don't have any knives or long nose pliers. I didn't know that. Needle nose pliers are not allowed through if they're over 3 inches or something. Anyways, everything got through the TSA, and we flew into Park City. Destination, I'm sorry, we flew into Salt Lake City. Destination was Park City.
and instead of using the app for tracking your luggage, we have little air tags that we put in ours.
Yes, we had that as a backup too.
The
But
only, I don't know if it was the ones we got or if it's all of them, but ours have to be within range of, I think it's an iPhone. I think ours are Apple, so it has to be within a certain distance of an iPhone for it to pick up the signal, so you know where it's at.
right, right. Um, Once in Salt Lake, we got a medium-sized SUV. We had a lot of gear. All the gear came through, um, and headed
Al-
off to Park City.
Always a plus when your stuff arrives.
Yeah, so we laid out this trip again a year in advance, and wanted to, after doing some online investigation, wanted to fish the area east of Salt Lake City. The two rivers that popped up as being some good fishing were the Provo and the Weber. They call it the Weber. The Provo flows south down to Lake Utah, and the Weber flows a little bit north towards Ogden and empties into the Great Salt Lake. So after doing some investigation, we hooked up with a guide that Robert, that once said he, would take us on the Provo. He said you probably only want to fish a half a day there, and then we'll go to if you don't mind driving, to a place called Strawberry River. And then when we get closer, the water and the runoff was high, so he hooked us up with a float trip on the lower Provo with guide Derek, who had a large rubber raft, and we fished that lower section of the Provo, which was pretty scenic. The I think it's called the Wasatch Mountains were in the background. The weather was really clear and blue skies, and started off a little slow from a fishing standpoint, but then we did good as the air temperature warmed up, and made our way down the stream. Interesting, even though it was a little chilly, there was a lot of float trips. People floating in tubes and that coming down the river, which it can be a challenge sometimes, when you're fishing, but wasn't too bad. That was a good day. We caught mostly browns, caught a couple of nice rainbow trout, and did mostly fly fishing there and a little bit of spin fishing.
And so, for those who
One,
don't know the difference, how would you differentiate between fly fishing and spin fishing? Do you spin around and then you do your casting with spin fishing?
the fly when you're using your fly rod, you're using a lure or something that looks like a bug or an egg pattern that the fish would like to eat. And some of them are on the surface, and some of them are the larvae stage swimming in the water. Spinning, you got a different reel that has a lure on the end that usually has made of metal, and usually has some type of blade that spins around so that it catches the fish's attention, and it's basically they're attacking something that looks like a minnow or some kind of bait fish. We had a good day with Derek, and at the end of the trip, it was interesting. There's a section where you take out, and there's an old railroad bridge there that makes almost impossible to get under the those bridge abutments that are there. It's an old wooden bridge structure, and plenty of signs that say take out, danger ahead, etc. When we got down there, there was a group of young guys, kids, that were they looked like college students. They were distraught. They went under that thing and capsized, lost their cooler, their clothes, their everything that they had. So they didn't have their car keys to go down to where they were going to take out. So we gave them a ride down. The guy had an extra set of keys at the where the car was. It was uh, our good deed for the trip.
So that's an important lesson to learn. One, whenever you have your keys, or if you're going to be on a boat or around water a lot, get one of those little keychain things that has a little floaty on it. So if you lose your keys, it'll still float. I know that in my dad's little speedboat that we have, my dad and my uncle, share a boat that they go fishing on in the summer, and sometimes we'll go water skiing and stuff on that. That the key to the boat has that little floaty on it. And also, whenever there's signs of like don't go under the bridge, or if it, you're gonna have to squeeze through to get under the bridge, kind of don't do that.
So the first day of fishing went pretty well. Then the way we lay it out is we like to fish with a guide and then go fish on our own once we get a little bit of a lay of the land. So Monday we fished the middle section of the Provo, which comes out of the Jordanelle Dam. That has, you know, three sections to it itself. One is, right up against the dam, and then further downstream to closer to uh, Weber City, I guess it's called Huber City or Heber City. I'm sorry. Anyway, um, we we did okay fishing by ourselves, but it took us a while to figure out what the fish wanted. And the best section that we found fishing the Provo was up closer to the dam where the water was a little bit deeper and running a little bit clearer. Caught some nice brown trout up there as well. We never did get to fish the Weber. From what our guide on the float trip and the other guide Robert, that we had the next day, were saying that the flows were high and the water was, you know, high and muddy, so the fishing wasn't real good. And that was okay because the next day, on Tuesday, we hooked up with Robert to go to the Strawberry, which did not know much about the Strawberry, and saw a couple of YouTube videos of some nice fish that they caught there. Robert's discussion with us as we were planning this trip, he said you may hook into them, but don't know if you'll land them. Some of the big brown trout. So we were like, okay, let's see what happens here. So we had met him around Heber City, and then we had to drive to the east over near a city called Duchesne, and it took probably, I mean, close to an hour through the mountains. Nice scenic ride, and we got there to the point where we were going to, park and move in, and he had everything ready for us. He had a set up with these 10-foot fly rods with little flies on them that were about the size of a housefly, tiny little lure. And he proceeded to march us through the basically pastures, cow field, or cattle were in the field. And
Watch where you step.
interesting, they had uh, like step ladders over the barbed wire fences so that you could, you know, make your way towards the stream, which I thought was pretty interesting. Um, that the owners allow you to, fish on their land, and they also help you get over the barbed wire fences. So we went to a section of the river where there was a big bend, and the water was pretty deep in that section, and did some fishing there for a while. And then I hooked into probably a 24-inch brown trout that was huge. Nice, and landed it, which Robert said I did a good job. Interestingly enough, before we set out with him, he said, "No, you don't need any gear. Don't bring anything." I said, "Well, I'm going to wear my vest because I have some clippers, to snip some lines and some other things in there." He said, "Okay, if you want to." And I said, "Should I bring my net?" And I showed him my normal size net that we used for Pennsylvania trout. And he said, "What are you going to do with that?" He showed me his net, which was, twice as big. And after we landed that big one, I saw why. He said, "Just leave that net in the car." He was a character, though. He was a big Steeler fan, so we were immediately buddies because of uh, the fact that we came from Pittsburgh. So we fished that section, and we both did good in that section. Then he took us up to another section that was up by the reservoir, uh, that the river flows out of, and I think it's called the Starvation Reservoir. Anyway,
Yeah, it's
there
near Fred Hayes State
again,
Park.
I hooked into a another big trout up there. Um, he put us on a lot of nice sized fish. Um, and then we crossed over the stream, which was a little challenging because it was moving pretty good. But he was a very tall guy, and the guy I fished was tall, so they were motoring across the stream. And I said, "Hey, I'm right behind you, but I can't go as fast because if it's up to your knees, it's over my knees." So
Hmm.
uh, we made it across safely, and hooked into one fish there that ran off about 50 yards of line straight upstream. And I was like, what do I do now? He said, just hold on and let him run. Then it turned around and tried to come back downstream to a pile of, dead trees across from where I was. He said he's probably heading there. That's his, was his refuge. So I had to reel like mad to get it to keep it from there. So the fish stood, came back down, stopped in the middle of the stream. And with those small flies, you can't, force or horse the fish in, or you'll pop the fly out. So I said, now what do we do, Robert? He said, well, I guess I'll have to go in and get him. So he's goes down and gets into the water and starts working his way. We were right on the edge of this deep hole, working his way towards the fish. And the fish sees him and takes off and running. So it was another battle, but we landed it. He was a pretty good guide. Good guide, put us on fish and nice scenic area. So if you get the chance, go to the Strawberry River.
And so that's another thing with those fish. You got smart fish there that he knows where to hide. He can go under his little hole and hopefully snag the line and avoid getting caught. So that's a veteran fish. He's been there, done that.
After that, we I guess that was what, Wednesday, and we had to be up in Idaho for Thursday. We were
What?
planning to do some fishing on that day, but we decided to you know take our time, pack up, get everything together, and make our way up to Rexburg, Idaho. The place we stayed just in Park City, there's that is a ski resort, and plenty of condos there, 1 and 2 bedroom apartments. I guess that it's definitely we were there in the off season, so there were a lot of options and hotels and restaurants. Um, the other thing that was interesting there is I guess the Olympic ski team may train there, but they had those ski jumping platforms that were there was no snow on them, but you could see how high up they start and make those jumps. So that was interesting.
They have a couple different levels of those ski jumps
So we
too.
head due
There's
north
different
up
sizes.
to Rexburg, Idaho. Our plan is to get up there and to spend a few days fishing the Henry's Fork of the Snake River, which comes from the northeast out of towards Yellowstone, out of from the Yellowstone area, and flows west. We found a loft there near the Teton River, which was one of the rivers we wanted to fish, but most of the people said the flow would be too high, so we didn't plan on getting a guide there. We booked 2 days on Henry's Fork, and when we hooked up with the guide, he was from Columbus, Ohio. So he moved out there and became a guide and splits time between Idaho and Florida. So in the winters, he goes to Florida with his family, and he's a guide there and on the saltwater fishing. Henry's Fork is a very scenic area. We fished a section that was above uh, the ranch, they call it Harriman's State Park, I think it is. And it was a another nice day. We had good weather most of the time. Um, the guy, he was doing an interesting as we were floated. He these boats that we were in were like McKinsey boats that have they're pointed on both ends. He would get out of the boat, and so we wouldn't float through the area, the holes fast enough. He would get out of the boat and stand in the water with in his chest waders and hold the boat and walk it down the stream, which I thought was pretty interesting. We uh, had a little bit of traffic from a lot of different guide services that were there. Caught some nice fish, both fly fishing and using our spinning lures. Really neat place to have lunch on the bank that was pretty scenic, and also did some wade fishing. Got out of the boat and walked a little bit to fish on Wednesday, and we booked another day with the same outfit. They called I think they're called trout hunters, to fish Henry's Fork again. But this time we went up and fished the what they called the canyon. So you're right up against the Island Park Dam, the box canyon that you go. So it's real a little bit different scenery, and they used a rubber raft on that particular section, and we were fishing primarily fly fishing there, and did okay, but the fish weren't as cooperative on that section. But it was interesting. The bug that they were eating was probably about a 2-inch uh, fly that was called well, some of them were cicadas and some of them were golden stone flies. So the when the fish were taking them, they were attacking them.
So whenever you were getting in the water and whenever the guide was in the water waiting and pulling the boat along, and then whenever you guys got in, how deep was the water there?
The water level, varied. This guy, he was another tall guy that for him the water was probably up a little bit over his waist as he was holding on to the boat. So when we were waiting, it was not very deep. Went out probably a little bit above my knees or so. I don't like to go beyond that. You can easily walk out gradual level of the water. Ready to move on to the next day. We fished Henry's Fork with the guide on Thursday and Friday, and then we fished on our own on Saturday, which was interesting. The place we stayed at in Rexburg was near at a Walmart. Near the Walmart was a sporting goods store, so we could see on the map that we were, very close to the lower end of the Teton, which is again another scenic river. So we were trying to figure out, should we try to fish it? And some of the parts that we saw as we drove by it didn't look too bad in terms of, the watercolor and the flow. Yes, it was up a little high. So we went into the sporting goods store and started talking to the manager there, and he gave us directions to a couple of spots on the Teton, which were right in the shadow of the mountains, the Teton mountain range, which was pretty scenic as we drove over there.
So was this the other side of the Teton Mountains from where you were on your earlier trip?
Correct. So now we're on the western side. We fished the eastern side of the Snake River over there, and full of other different rivers. So this time we're on the western side, and it's just a matter of luck of running into people and finding, getting some info as to where to fish. And we went to the first spot, caught a couple, but it wasn't, that fantastic. The water definitely was up and moving pretty fast and muddy, off color. And as we're fishing there, there's a guy shows up, and he's putting up signs to sell his one kayak. He's posting these signs, with a picture of the kayak for sale. And so we started talking to him about fishing, and he told us about 3 other spots on the Teton and the access points as to get in, which was pretty cool. So then we went up and fished those 3 different spots. Did okay. The scenery was, you're fishing right below the Teton mountain range, and there was still snow on the Tetons. And this was, early June. That's why the flow was up, because the snow melt was, they had a pretty good snowpack.
And that's something that whenever you're in those national parks, that the water flow and the waterfalls can vary dramatically. Like in Yosemite, early, in May and early June, you'll get Yosemite Falls and some of the other smaller ones that they'll be either nearly dry up or completely dried up in July or August.
Absolutely.
So the time of year matters. And I remember when we were in Yosemite as a family in 1993, what it was, mid to late June that we were there, or it was mid-June that we did that trip.
Right.
And we were climbing up, what was it? Sentinel Dome that we were going up. And there was a stretch of about 30 feet that still had a pretty good, couple inch
snowpack.
Well, yeah, it was packed down, but there was a snowpack there. Yeah, we had a snowball fight in June. And even whenever we've done our hikes in early to mid-July, there's still been a little bit of snow sticking around on some of the mountains.
Yeah, if you're on the dark side, definitely.
Yeah, and
go ahead.
Whenever you went to Walmart, did you find the youngest guy there to talk to, like you did on the other trip?
The guy, well, we did. That was good, but he wasn't sure of where to go, so he got the manager. So the manager helped us. The Teton definitely was worth the trip. The river, that is, to try to fish that. The fishing wasn't spectacular, but we caught a few fish and we saw a lot of good sights. The Rexburg location was a pretty good location. It's was a medium-sized town with opportunities to get provisions, and definitely had some restaurants from fast food as well. And then the plan was to go from Rexburg down to Dutch John, which is basically we're going to go east towards the Teton Mountain Range, then southeast along the Tetons into Wyoming, and then back down into the eastern side of Utah, which is almost over near, getting near the border with Colorado as well.
And this is a long drive. This is like 6 hours.
Yeah, that was a full day trip. It was definitely a full day trip. But we made a few stops along the way, did a little sightseeing, split it up with a little bit of 2-lane roads and, mountain roads, and a bit of interstate driving, or, 4-lane highways. It wasn't too bad, but it was definitely a full day.
Yeah, when driving out there, you definitely don't have to worry about whenever you want to take a rest. It's easy to find a scenic overlook or something along those lines to stretch your legs and enjoy the view.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's definitely a few small towns that you go through that would have a few places to stop if you needed to take a break. So we were headed for Dutch John, Utah, which is near the Flaming Gorge, which is caused by the Green River flowing through these, I think they might be sandstone walls that are definitely red stones. Very scenic part of Utah. And the section that we were going to fish flows out of the Flaming Gorge Reservoir. So we launched right below the dam of the reservoir. Now, interestingly enough, it was, I think the last time I was there was in 1996. I fished that Green River a while back. So we stopped into the Flaming Gorge Resort, is where we had connected with our guides, and there was a guide that we came upon and said, "Hey, we're going out tomorrow. We're looking for Benny Johnson." He said, "Oh, you'll hear Benny before you see him." We said, "What?" He said, "Sure enough, there's this guy talking, short, stout guy. You could hear him coming. He was talking out, pretty loud. He was definitely a character, but he was a heck of a guide."
To go back, the Flaming Gorge is red sandstone, and then there's some shale and limestone in there too that dates to the Triassic, Cretaceous, and Jurassic period. So, if you want to go looking in there, you might see some fossils. Look out for dinosaurs, as long as it's not Jurassic Park.
Well, yes, and there's 3 or 4 different sections of that river as well. The A, B, and C section. A is right up against the dam, and they boast as having the one of the highest populations of wild trout in the nation in that particular section. And we fished that section twice and did very good with our friend Benny. Before I forget, we stayed at a looked like a little cowboy cabin is what they called it. It was a 2-story building with a little kitchenette and bathroom, and a table on the first floor, and then 2 bedrooms on the second floor, with some campfire areas out in a little campground, which had a little restaurant and a general store. So that was a good find for lodging. So we hook up with Benny, and the morning that we're going out with him, he was telling us about these the cicadas were hatching, and was, fly fishing wise, it was what we were going to do. So that meant we had a big fly that would float on top of the water, and then below that you hang down a small nymph fly that is hatching. And my friend asked him about spin fishing, and Benny said, well, if you want to do that, I'll set you up with some tube fishing. We said, what the heck is that? So he basically had a lure that had one hook in it, and it looked like a piece of surgical tubing that he gets these from some dealer in Las Vegas, that the guy came out and fished with him and, showed him these tubes. So we were catching plenty of fish along the way, and Benny was quite a character. He put us on, the stretches of the river that he would float through. Definitely were prime spots for fishing. He also had a neat stop along the way for lunch, where, it was actually pretty sunny and warm while we were there. So we'd get to the shade, we'd pull over for lunch, and he would take us on a little bit of a walk, maybe, 50 yards or so, into this little section on the side of the river that had an overhang that was like half of a little cave with big rocks to sit on. And that was his secret lunch spot, he told us. So we had
Benny's Cafe.
Yeah. So we caught quite a few brown trout with Benny on the 2 days that we had with him. We did back to back with him. One day we got a little bit of, actually it was during the second day lunch. We were in our secret spot when a little bit of a thunderstorm kind of moved over top, but we didn't get much rain nor any thunder or lightning. So we fished with him for 2 days, and then fished on our own the third day. It was a little bit different. We were fishing from the bank, walking along the shore. Didn't do as well as we did with Benny. He covered a lot more water. That was expected. But we did catch some fish, and fished the A section again, which that also gets a lot of float traffic, people, floating in tubes, and a lot of, guided raft tours that are not fishing. We were making our way back to Salt Lake City on Friday the 13th, and decided to head south down to Duchesne and fish the Strawberry River again, because we had some good luck there. And got down there and fished the morning and caught a few nice fish. And then as we came away from out of the woods and into cell phone service, there was an emergency, right? That was when your mother was in the, got taken into the hospital. So we had emergency calls going back and forth. Had to head on down to Salt Lake City in a hurry, changed our flights up, and took a red eye home, and everything turned out okay. But that trip ended on a emergency scramble note.
Yeah, she was in the hospital for a bit, had some surgery, but she came out okay.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
It was a bit of an unpleasant time for her in the hospital there, but she survived.
Right. Yeah, everything turned out okay. Yeah, the Delta people were really great. They got us on the red eye out of Salt Lake City, and we still had to connect through Detroit, but we got in early Saturday morning versus getting in, late that day. All in all, really good trip in terms of, the guides that we hooked up with. Henry's Fork was, I thought it would have been better up at the canyon section than we did, but you never know, whether the fish will cooperate or not. The Strawberry River was definitely a pleasant surprise, and Robert, the guide we had there, was super. Flaming Gorge, I knew was going to be scenic and had a good time there. Caught fish the first time, but that exceeded expectations with our friend Benny, who, by the way, is retiring and moving up to Wyoming, and gave him our contact information. He's going to start his own little guide service up there. So we'll see if we ever hook up with him again. Lodging wasn't an issue. Everything seemed to work out pretty good on that. The cowboy cabin was definitely a cowboy cabin. The common area was a little wore out, but the bedrooms and bathroom and all that were good and functional, so that's a high point. And the scenery was very very good. So definitely would fish that route again.
And this was all catch and release, correct?
Yes. Again, you're going with a guide, particularly. I mean, that's their inventory, right? They want those fish in the water so they can take the people next day and see if they'll catch them again.
And then the next year, whenever they take them, those fish are even bigger, so it makes it even more impressive.
Well, again, the interesting thing about Pennsylvania, there's a lot of stocked fish that are caught, and some natives, but the majority of those fish were not stocked. They were all natives, and especially on that Green River, there were some very, very big fish in there that you could see as you were floating over them that, they've seen it before, so they're not chasing your artificial stuff. They have their own feeding patterns to get that big. But anyway, yeah, it's definitely a catch and release setup.
And the next time you just have to send out the request form beforehand and let the fish fill it out to see what they want to eat. Take their orders.
That's for sure. And even at, like the Box Canyon, I felt that we had the guy that we had there, but his name was Ben. He didn't go by Benny, but he did a lot of work changing up, whatever we were using to try to get the fish to be hungry. Interesting about that, though, is he'd left one of the little flies. It's called a zebra midge, a chocolate-colored one. He left that on my fly rod, and I guess it was the next day or the evening, we fished a different section on our own, and sure enough, I caught a nice brown trout just as it was getting dark on that zebra midge. So Ben had the right fly on. Just had to find the fish that liked the chocolate color.
Must have been the teenager trout who likes the chocolate.
That's
or
it.
if it's like my daughter, I don't know.
It worked out.
So all right, we've gone over 3 different places where you've gone fishing, with the Wyoming and Montana, Alaska, and then Utah and Idaho. Do you have a favorite among those?
Well, it's hard to beat Alaska. I mean, that would be, just number one for the, the scenery. And we did catch, fish the ocean, fish the rivers. Utah and Idaho, a lot more fish there. But I think, that when we did Glacier National Park and Yellowstone hooked in with the Montana and Wyoming fishing, that has a better option there. But just from a pure fishing standpoint, Utah and Wyoming, we caught probably bigger fish, maybe more. I don't know. But anyways, that might be number two, closely followed by Montana and Wyoming.
So Alaska has pretty much everything of fishing rivers, fishing oceans. So you get fresh water and salt water. You got amazing scenery. And then
Absolutely.
Idaho and Utah had more catching of fish, but Montana and Wyoming had a lot more of the national parks.
Right.
So there's
Easy,
extra
easy
side
access.
stuff.
Right.
So there's your quick rundown and synopsis of all the of certain fishing places. The official
Yep.
rankings.
Yep. So the next trip is going to be in the Great Northwest, looking to fish the Columbia River and some of the other, the Duchesne, the Chutes, and maybe the Yakima. So that's in the planning stages. Maybe not next summer, but the summer after that.
So do you have
Stay tuned.
oh, go ahead. Yeah. We'll have you back on to recap that one. And do you have a official travel tip do you want to share?
I guess, for this last trip, it was, again, doing your homework on the guides and which guides to hook up with, and have some flexibility based on whatever the weather is and the scenery.
Yeah, for mine, cost is a big factor in many aspects of life and especially with travel. So it's important to know the difference between price and value, though. And we've talked about this before on the podcast, that price is what you pay, but value is what you get. Personally, I don't mind paying a little bit more if I'm going to get value than I'm going to use. I'm not going to just pay more to get more, but I'll pay more if it's things that I want, that I need, that I'm going to use, that I'm actually going to get my money's worth out of it. And of course,
Absolutely.
yeah. So whenever you're spending more, make sure that that extra price is worth it. And there's a lot of factors to consider whenever you're going to pay for something, but usually you get what you pay for. So if you're going to try to go for the lowest price, then you might get something that's worth that lowest price. So saving money is nice, but it's not always um, good at the expense of enjoying your trip. That we've gone to some places that, hey, look at this great price we got on this hotel, and then we got to that hotel and was like, I see why it was that price. So yeah. So although my dad's one thing is that whenever you do pay a little bit more, it's not always a bad thing because that extra little cost can be seen as an investment in happiness. And
That's for sure.
it even even at my age, there are some things that I'll pay more to have this convenience. I don't mind doing that.
Yeah, and you'll see that as you're booking guides, especially when we did Alaska, we, you could have 4 people in a boat on the float. And as we talked to the guy, 2 of us paid for the extra price, have the whole boat so that we could fish the way we wanted to and not have to try to fit in with 2 other people. So you have a lot more flexibility. Again, it costs a little bit more, but a little bit more enjoyable.
Yeah, you get a little bit more of a personal thing. He gives you a little bit more personal attention, and you can cater to what you want to do, not have to, not having too many cooks in the kitchen type thing.
Right.
So now for everyone else, if you have a destination or an experience that you'd like to have us discuss on the Where Yinz Goin podcast, or if you'd like to share your favorite place to visit or have a travel tip, feel free to contact me. I'd love to hear your feedback and ideas. You can find our show on social media with Facebook and X at Where Yinz Goin, Yinz Yinz Goin Goin with the apostrophe. This information is going to be in the episode description. So if you want to contact me to book a trip or have any questions, you know where to find me. You don't have to worry about spelling or anything else. Although you found us the first time, unless you're just like eavesdropping over someone else who's listening to the podcast loudly, which I highly recommend. Play it as loud as you can so let other people hear it. So please like, follow, subscribe, leave a review, tell a friend, let other people know about it if you like what you heard, or, just, again, play it loudly. Dad, I greatly appreciate it. I think this is the part where we have to do like the James Bond ending of, James Bond will return in, like Die Another Day or however, at the end of the movies, they always had that little blurb. So my dad will return again to talk about fishing in the Pacific Northwest. And also, we're going to have you back to talk about some of your motorcycle trips, specifically to Sturgis and to a conglomeration of the different trips there and the different things you were able to see.
Yeah, the Black Hills of South Dakota.
Go up to see Mount Rushmore, which is a very scenic trip, and they set out that road really nicely. We'll talk about that whenever we have you on again.
Sounds good.
So everyone else, please join us next time. We're heading out, Nat. We'll see you later. Hey, Yinz guys and gals, gather around for a journey like no other. It's time to hop on board the Yinz Goin podcast. From the rivers that meet at the point that form downtown Pittsburgh, to the sheer face of Half Dome, to the furthest corners of the globe, that will be your compass, your confidant, your companion as we explore the wonders of travel. So sit back, relax on your couch, and let the wanderlust whoosh over Yinz as we discover new horizons and reminisce about old favorites. With Matt by our side, the sky's the limit. Join Matt on the Yinz Goin podcast because when it comes to travel, the journey's just getting started. And now, without further ado, let's give a shot for your guide through the highways and byways of travel. Your planning partner, the man with the map, Matt Schraeder.